Everyone, I thought I would have a go at one of the cakes from this lovely picture from Rooms of Wonder by Johanna Basford. My plan was to do all the cakes the same, so I thought I would just have a go at one in a video, and then if you wanted to take some tips or copy it or whatever, then you can, or colour along, whatever you might want to do, you can. And obviously the others can be done at a different time. I'm actually going to turn my book around though, just because I haven't got much space on my desk. I'll explain in a minute. It's just, oops, sorry, rearrange this scrunchy bit of paper that's behind the page. I've decided to use my Prismacolors. Now I know it's really rare for me to, well, I don't think I've done any tutorials with Prismacolors, but I felt that it had the right sort of colours for the cake. I'm trying to just sort of angle it a little bit, so I'd like it to be straight, but I'm trying to see if I've got much room on the desk. The Prismacolors take up so much space. Maybe that works. There we go. It doesn't really matter which cake you start with because they're all going to be the same. Well, in my version they are. It doesn't have to be like that for yours. As I say, I've chosen Prismas because they've got quite a good range of colours which I think work for the cake. So we're going to do, we've got the 4 layers. I had thought about mixing up the layers, so doing 4 different colours, and then on the cake, say do that one red, let's just say, and then on this cake do that one red, and then on the next cake do that one red. But because there's 4 layers and 5 cakes, I've actually decided I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep them all the same. But obviously it's completely up to you if you choose to do that. Now each layer looks quite different. This one is stripy, this one's got little bits, this one's got semicircles, this one's got icing. But on the top of each layer there is this icing, and I figured that it might make sense to make this icing the same on each layer, just to tie the cake together. If I was designing a cake, that's what I would do. So I'm going to stop talking. Well, I will continue talking actually. I'm going to grab a colour pencil. This is the blush pink pencil, and I'm going to use this for the icing. It's a bit blunt. I may have to sharpen it. I've actually got a Prismacolor sharpener here. I usually sharpen my Prismas with dowel, but I'm going to just use the Prismacolor sharpener because it's a bit quieter. I'm sorry about the light. It does look a little bit old today. It's sunny. I've had to shut the blind. Now I'm going to colour this quite thickly. And the reason for that is I want to add some shine to my cake onto the icing. I want it to look like it's a really high gloss type icing. And so if I make this really dark, then it will show up a white pen. If I put it on too lightly, you won't see the white pen making the shine. So I'm just putting this down fairly thickly, and because it's a Prismacolor, that's quite easy. Some brands of pencil, it's a little more difficult to get a thick, vibrant layer, but that isn't the reason I chose them. It was actually just because of the pinks and those sorts of colours that I think are just what I was sort of thinking of doing for the cake. So that's why I picked Prismas. But if you don't have Prismas, I do have a Prisma Poly conversion chart in my Ko-fi shop, so you can go and have a look if you've bought polychromos. There are a lot of comparison or conversion charts around for Prismacolors if you have other pencils that you want to compare. If you can't find one for a particular brand and you would like me to make one, let me know. Obviously I don't have every single brand of pencil, but I might be able to put something together for you, or I might be able to have a search and direct you somewhere. I know some people find it hard to find things. I actually find it incredibly easy to search online, and I think that's partly because of my background. I've actually studied research methods, and so I think it's sort of helped me a little bit in knowing what search terms to use and things like that. So that's a bit of an advantage for me. So I can sometimes just find things that other people struggle a little bit with. Now on the very edges of the cake, we need to be aware that the cake is round, it's not flat. You know, it's a round cake. So these edges here of cake would be slightly tucked around the corner, if you know what I mean. Imagine something round, or look at something round that you might have on your desk, a pencil sharpener for example, and you might be able to see the light, the way the light falls on it. So these bits I feel are going to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to get a slightly darker pencil and just mark that a little bit darker once I've finished doing all this. Thank you for your patience. It's taking me quite some time to do this. I'm not massively used to using my Prismas. You will know this, you will see this from the fact that they are all quite long, but I do use them a bit, and I'm getting used to them and more confident with them. Okay, so I want a slightly darker colour for the shadowy bit. Now I do have the pink, which is darker, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. I want something that's going to look shadowy, and I think that perhaps this one might do. This is the black grape. Now it's very dark, so I'm not going to push it on too hard. I just want it quite light actually, so I'm going to hold the page down so I can just gently put it on like this, and then just a really light bit coming in like that, and I hope it will have the desired effect. So it's a really light layer. You could have done this first underneath the pink. You can put another layer of pink on top if you think it will benefit from that. I'm going to wait, because when I do the rest of the cake I will put in a little bit of shadowing as well, and so we'll see whether it works basically. There we go, and just on all the layers, you can see I'm putting the most there, just a little bit here. Now at the moment it doesn't look, it hasn't for me made it look like the cake is rounded, but once we do the layer underneath I'm hoping that will work. Okay, let's just brush away some of those bits. Now our very top layer looks slightly stripy, so I think it would be good to do it like that. I'm thinking maybe 2 different colours. I'm thinking this is rather nice. This is a colour I use a fair bit. This is the deco pink, and I'll start with that. Again, it needs a sharpen. There we go. So I'm going to do the top layer with this. Again, I need to hold the page down a little bit. It's very faint actually, but hopefully it will show up. That one, and then this one. And the bottom one. Now again, I want to make it look a little bit darker on the edges. Now with some pencils you can just put more layers here and it will darken it, but with this particular tone, with the more pastel tones, that doesn't work. We're going to wait and do the next layer and then resolve this issue. My next colour, I'm thinking I'd like to go for something slightly more purpley. I'm having a look at this lavender. Now I realise that the lavender is a discontinued pencil, but I suspect most of you haven't run out yet. So that's sort of why I think it's okay to use it. I know that, of course, if you're watching this video years after, it might be tricky, but I know they're replacing it with another one, so you might find something similar. Okay, and I'm going to grab my black grape pencil again. I think it was called that, yeah, the one I used for the icing. Just going to give it a turn in the sharpener. There we go, so back to our black grape. Sorry, the light shines off it so brightly. And firstly I want to make it dark on the edge like we did for the icing. So just a tad. Like that. And then I want some shadow under the icing, because the icing isn't going to be flat on the cake. Oops. Crumbly pencil. This is where I'm still learning the Prismacolors. I'm not most confident in them, but I'm having a go. There we go. A bit more under there and there. think it looks slightly curved, but maybe once we do the others it might work better. There we are. Now I was wondering whether to put a white line in between each layer as if there was a bit of cream, but I don't think I will because it's really going to stand out. So I shall leave that. Now our next layer, I'm thinking let's go with a more purpley. I think actually this is called lilac. I think this is the other discontinued one actually. I can't quite remember. I'm going to put this all over the main part of the cake, but those little circles I'm going to leave for another colour. So we'll see. Now I am going to add white pen to this eventually, but I'm not doing it at this early stage because I'll just smudge it. So I'm just trying to do all the other bits first. So there's our main bit. Let's do the circles underneath. Yeah, I'm thinking I'd quite like to go as dark as a violet. Let me just sharpen the violet. There we go. Now a lot of people don't recommend this Prismacolor sharpener. They say the dowel is much better. It seems okay to me at the moment, but I suspect it will go blunt a lot more quickly than the dowel, I guess. But yeah, I tend to use the dowel, but it's a bit noisy for when I'm recording, and it's next door and I can't be getting up. Not now, I've started. So here are our little circles. You could do these lots of different colours. It's much easier to do them all one colour, but that isn't why I'm doing them one colour. I think it just looks a little bit neater. Now I'm going to go back to my black grape that I used for this sort of shadowing on the last one and do it on this one too. So firstly on the main sort of cake part, I'm going to just sort of ignore those bits at the bottom because they're quite dark anyway. So like that, and then underneath the icing like we did before. Oops, that's a bit messy. I really want to try and just go under the line. That was far too messy over there. But I'm not going to erase it because it's just going to make a smudgy mess. I should just leave it and I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. There we go. There's our next layer. Now this one has these circles on like they're sort of fruit. Now, yes, lemons, oranges, limes, but our cake is pink and purple. So I'm going to sort of, I'm thinking I could do pink grapefruit, but not sure about that idea. So I'm thinking I might just ignore the fact that it looks like citrus fruit and just do it in a colour that I want. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm grabbing the pink rose first. Just going to sharpen, and I'm going to use that for actually the cakey bit. There's quite a few little dotty markings on the cake here. Ooh, my desk just clunked and sunk a little bit. It's very creaky. I don't know what's going on. Is this a big crash and a squeal? No, don't worry, it'll be absolutely fine. I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm thinking I might just go for pink, just to tie it all in. So this is the pink. So I'm trying to vary the colours a little bit, but not hugely. So we get a sort of pink and purple mix, which I think ties it together. Although some of our pinks are a little bit more salmony. I haven't used the salmon, that's very orangey, but some of them are more orangey than others. Okay, I am going to use the hot pink, I think, as well. Needs a sharpen. pink. I just remembered, you know what, I came in, I could barely open the door because there was some post on the floor. There was a parcel for me and a parcel for my husband. I put my parcel on the table, I put my husband's there, I put his shopping by it, I'd got his prescription and bits and pieces, and I made my lunch. I came upstairs and I haven't opened my parcel. I wonder what it was. I've got no clue. I've got to go and have a look soon. But let's get this done. Right, so the bottom layer, I'm thinking, because the top layer is sort of pinky, the next one's purple and the next one's pink. We'll do this one a bit purpley. We've got a couple of purples left actually. We've got the, oh, I haven't done the shading. I'm jumping the gun. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and look at my parcel because I'm getting too excited. Hold on a minute. Right, I am back. I received a couple of books. It was a belated birthday present, which was very, very lovely. So these were colouring books. So I will share them with you at some point. This is the black grape. I don't know if I had already said before I went off camera that's what I was going to do, but I'm just doing so that's very exciting. So I'm no less excited and wanting to rush than I was before because I want to have a look at them now. But yeah, let's get this pretty cake finished. I'm going to have to try and remember what colours I use for each bit, which is, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for me. But maybe if I'll write it down after I finish filming, because I'm going to be filming the flip throughs of these couple of books that I got after, so I won't remember by the time I've done all that. There we go. Now yes, our next layer, which I was going to do I've got the grade lavender. I think this will be quite good for the icing. Now I've got little dots on the icing. I might go over those in a bit. I'm just sharpening my lavender in the wrong hole of my pencil sharpener. Never mind. It's just excitement. I'm excited. I was also checked to see if I'd heard back from my boys because I wished them luck in their exam. One of my boys had an exam yesterday and it was his hardest physics paper, so he was pleased to get that over and done with, and he said it was okay, and he feels fairly confident in his physics. And today he's got one of his hardest maths papers. His brother's got the same, they both do maths, and it's one of the hardest papers, and again they're quite pleased to get that one out of the way. But of course you get less time to revise for the earlier exams, but they're I think I'll do the icing next and then the shading. Can use some Parma violet for the bit of icing at the bottom. There we go. Now how should we do this? I'm thinking I might do it a little darker at the bottom and lighter as we come up. Yes, their exam will start in about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, although they say they always get there early, which is sensible, and everyone's waiting outside, and then they get told they have to turn their phones off, and then they get let in. So it all makes sense. In my day, of course, you didn't get told to turn your phones off. You can't even wear a watch in exams now because of smartwatches and things. Okay, let's go back to our black grape and do the bit of shading. I just thought I might go over the icing as well, which is why I thought I would wait. That's a bit darker than the others. It's a bigger bit of cake. I could eat a slice of cake. I don't eat cake. But I'm one of those, because I'm such a sugar addict, I love the icing and the marzipan, which a lot of people would say that's too sweet. Of course it's too sweet, but if I have a little bit, I just want to eat the whole cake's worth. I could probably eat it till I was sick. which is why I don't eat sugar. It's not good. And I actually really dislike it. Like things like meringues that are really sugary, I really don't like them. But if I have a bit of one, I just want to eat loads and loads and loads, and it's because I'm just addicted to the sugar. Right, I'm going to these lines. I could do it with white. We've got quite a lot of bits. Okay, I'm going to give that some thought. We have got our big dollop of cream on the top of the cake, and I'm thinking hard about what to do with that. Whether to just leave it. No, let's do it in the mulberry. I think that's a very bright colour. It could look really nice. It might look revolting, but anyway, we'll see. I'm sure it won't look revolting. Here we go, mulberry. Sorry, it's hard for you to see. Let's hold the book still again. I think I'm just going to do a light there and then think about how I'm going to shade this. Because it's sort of in layers, isn't it? Let's have a think. I think I'm going to make it darker down here and where it overlaps like that. Gosh, that's a very cherry looking, isn't it? Which isn't a bad thing. A dollop of cherry cream, quite nice. Though my sister wouldn't agree, she loathes buttercream. I am trying to make this dark at the bottom, but it's a bit white in places. There we go. Now, I don't know what these pretend balloons are. We've got flowers and leaves. So we'll look at that next. I'm thinking maybe the flowers could be in a... What have we got here? We could do the violet blue, or actually the imperial violet's rather nice. I think actually I use this imperial violet for the balloons. I think they're balloons. They're really small. I don't really know what they are. So here is the imperial violet. And for these, I'm going to try do the little bottom part just in a solid bit because it's too small. I'm going to try and go a bit harder around the edge and in the middle to create the illusion of a circle. Quite tricky when it's so small, but I should do my best, and my pencil is crumbling everywhere. I think I've done that okay, just about. You may struggle to see. Now the flowers. What about what about the processed red? That's really fluorescent, but we'll use this. There we go. Yeah, processed red. I think it's very pink. So I'm going to do all the flowers with this. I'm going to try to fade them out towards the edge of the petals. And I am now debating whether I want to use some green or not on the leaves, because we haven't got any green. You know, we're all pinky purples. I can do them in a silver. Because I'm going to use some silver for the cake stand. Hum. Let's do the ribbon while I think. Now, I'm thinking magenta. I'm going to do it striped. I'm thinking magenta and I could go for a dark, like a black cherry or a black raspberry, but I think I won't. I think I'll go for a the dioxazine purple hue. So I'll go for sort of dark purple and pink. So here's the dioxazine purple hue. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? And I shall do one stripe. And I just work on that now. So for this end bit, now something you could do here on your... No, you can't. I was going to say you could swap it so that the cakes to the right and left have their stripes in the other order. So this one I'm starting with my more violet-y, bluey colour, and then doing this sort of more pinky colour after. I'm just going to start that here. And you could do the reverse on the next one, but because there's only 5, you're not going to be able to alternate them. So I think it's probably a good idea not to do that. I'm going to fill in the whole square, but then make it a little bit darker on each end. I want the centre to be a bit lighter, a bit difficult on this one. I can show you better on this one. So just sort of, well, go over it all and then leave a bit of a shine in the middle, basically, is what I'm trying to do. There's a train going by, I don't know if you hear it, the horn. Go. It's a bit tricky behind, but I think it's okay. So again, it can be sometimes easier just to put down a base layer and then add the dark bit on top. I thought this would be a really quick video, but I don't think it's going to be. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I think it's because I've used so many different colours. Now here you can use either colour. It's just be consistent across all your cakes if you want them to match. Of course you can do them all differently if you want to. You can mix all the colours up if you wish. I'm going to try and keep mine all the same. What I would do if I was keeping it all the same and not recording a video was do every cake. So every balloon, not just those 3, but the ones on this cake and the other 2, you know, do them all. So that you've got, so it's easier to remember. You have to remember what colour you did it then. Now when I'm using something like polychromos, because I've been using them for so long, if I did something in a colour I could identify which pencil it was. But with these, no, I haven't been using them long enough, so I wouldn't be able to identify which was which very easily without doing swatching them and things like that. So it's easier to either do it all together, you know, or write it down, which is what I'm going to do in a minute, because my pencils are being put down beside me in the order I coloured. I'm hoping that I will remember what I did in what colour. Or else I have to watch my own video. I don't want to do that. I don't often do that because my sound often doesn't work on my computer for some reason. I don't know why. That was a bit tricky. I didn't worry too much about trying to make it lighter in the middle. Just doing my best. That's all I can do. Same as you. That's all you can do. You don't even have to do your best if you're not in the mood for it. Just have fun. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. There we go. There's the first bit. I quite like it with just white, but I'm not going to do a background, so I need to really do the other colour. It's magenta I was going to do, wasn't it? Here we go. Magenta. I know I haven't finished the top bit. I don't know why I'm chopping and changing really, but I think I wanted to see what colours I had left and how it looked, and you know, whether the centre of the flowers needed to be dark or light, really. I wasn't sure. Hopefully by the time I finish this, the ribbon will look a little bit shiny. This, gosh, it's quite a brash colour, this pink, isn't it? I guess it is magenta. But I think that's okay because we've got a really dark purple with it. And it might even help our cake stand behind to stand out because it's going to be silver. I haven't worked out how I'm doing the silver yet. I'm not going to use this silver pencil. I'm going to make silver with some of the cool greys or cold greys. I can't remember what they're called now. In this set, I will have a look and let you know what colours I'm using as I do it. So you'll see. Sorry, I don't like putting my hand across that way, but it's the only way I can reach that bit easily. Let's go that way. When I was thinking about how I was going to organise my book to fit on the desk, I did think about how often when I record, my camera's actually upside down, and I have to always turn my video around so it's the right way up. And I think maybe I should be colouring my book upside down, and then I wouldn't have to turn the camera around, the film round when I was editing. But actually, it's easier not doing that, because if you're doing a scene where you're imagining a sunshine at the top or whatever, and you want your shadows at the bottom, if you've got your book upside down, because it's going to get a bit confusing which way up you are and where the shadows are for this particular one, because it's more of a mandala, and I just did the shadows underneath, but it wouldn't always be that simple. Right, let's do the cake stand. I know I haven't done the leaves and the flower centres. I'm still thinking. So I want my cold greys. I'm going to start with quite a dark one, but only do a little bit. This is the 90% cool grey. It's really dark, almost black. And we're just going to do the very edge of here, like that. So I'm just fading it in. And I want a bit of shadow under there. I'm not going to do, maybe just a tad there on the stem because it's thinner. If I use too much of this, you're not going to see it. Right, we're going to go straight to the 70%. Now, I don't want to push down too hard. I don't want this burnished. I think when you can see a little bit of white paper through, it really helps with the silver and gold sometimes when I'm using Prismas anyway. So here I'm going to not extend that shadow. I'm going to start working my way on the stem. Now I realise we have these sort of stripes on the stem. I'm going to ignore them. Sorry, Johanna, but it makes my life a bit easier. Okay, I know I haven't done anything on the bottom yet. I'm going to grab our next one, which I need to sharpen. Excuse me, that didn't completely sharpen. Hang on. There we go. This is the 50% cool grey. Sorry, I'm used to again, I'm still going over what I've done before, but not hard. I think we're nearly there. I'm going to actually take it right to the middle, leaving some white for shine. And so down here, I'm going to bring this in, but leave a bit in the centre. Okay, I know we've only used 2 colours here, but hopefully it will work still, should do. And here we're only going to use 1. I'm just going to fade that across. Like that. There's our silver cake stand. Now I feel we need a little bit of shadow here, so I'm going to draw that in a minute. But I'm wondering whether to do silver flowers, and I think I will. I'm going to use this 70%. I think it's a little bit darker. Now I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the tip and the end and fade towards the middle and leave a little stripe in the middle, which should look like shine. But I'm telling you this because it's going to be hard for you to see, because it's so small. But I just feel like doing them green or something. I didn't want to bring in a new colour. I can't work out what that is. I think it's the top of the cake, so it needs a bit of pink. hopefully they look a bit shiny. And the flower centres, I'm going to try to go around the edge and leave a white bit in the middle. I could put that in with white pen. Okay, we're now going to grab a white pen. I'm going to use when I can find it, a Jelly Roll Sakura. That's not what I want. Number 8. There we go. So this is the sort of mid tip. It's not the teeny tip. It's not the huge one. It's somewhere in between. And I'm going to start on the little balloons. I want to make a tiny mark on the edge to make them look a bit shiny, and I'm going to put some dots in on here where they're marked. Now on our icing we want some lines, some shine lines. Oh. I would have used my brush there had I not already got wet pen on it. Now I want a little few marks on these, just so they look like they're shiny little things. Now I've avoided using the Prismacolor pencils. I'm going to do these dots as well that are drawn on the icing. I've avoided using the Prismacolor pencils that I know will bleed into white pen. The Dahlia purple and the dark purple both bleed into white pen and go neon. Didn't want that to happen, so I haven't used them. I'm using Johanna's dots as well, as well as what I think my own ideas for shine. I'm just putting it to the left of all the icing, just keeping it consistent across the whole thing. And I've just remembered I was going to put some shadowing at the bottom. We can do that in a minute. Now these lines I think I'll go over. Although it's so pale they don't really show up. Maybe it's better to leave them there. Just go near them. Now I think this icing would be shiny. There we go, and the last touch is to do that little shadow line. Am I going to do it, yeah, with the black grape that I used for the other shadows. Along here. And then maybe in between as well. There's a noisy aeroplane outside. There we are. So there is our cake. That was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. You could add some dots and lines to the ribbon. Johanna's drawn some on. But I think I'm going to leave it because I don't want it to jump out the page more than the cake. I want it to sort of be level. So that is that. I am going to finish it and do all 5. As I say, I'm not going to do a background for this because, partly because if I don't know how much Prismas are going to smudge if I try and put some pastels on the background. Also, I think we've got a big mix of light and dark here, so I wouldn't know whether to go light pastel or dark pastel. Either way, something's going to not pop out the page as well. So I'm just going to leave it. So there we go. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that was okay. I had a lot of fun doing the cake, so I hope you did as well. Yeah, and happy colouring.